Hello everybody, Malakith here, and welcome to my Release 9 video for World of Tanks. Now, a quick legal thing, I have to tell you this video is being sponsored by wargaming.net, and that's just a legal thing I have to say. How that affects you is, it doesn't really a lot. The only main constraint being placed on me is that I had to do the video on version 9 of the game, which is kind of understandable. You know, they want to publicise their latest version and all the little fixes and improvements they've put in it, so I think anyone with any common sense can understand that part. Right, that out of the way, let's quickly cover the changes that Release 9 brings to the game. So the first one is a graphical update for about 10 tanks. Sadly, I don't own any of those 10 tanks, so I can't actually show you. But they are the T-54, the T-34-85, the Panther, the Tiger 1, the Mouse, the M4 Sherman, the M18 Hellcat, the M103, the Tortoise, and the Centurion. So that's a nice graphical update for all of those, but if you don't own them, it really doesn't affect you, as you can pretty much see from my own perspective. The other big addition is this new thing here, Historical Battle. Now, if we click into this, you can see currently there are three: the Battle of Kursk, Operation Spring Awakening, and the Battle of the Bulge. Now you can see here, it limits the tanks that you can bring in, so of all of the tanks that can take part, I have these three. If we look at Operation Spring Awakening, you can see there's a slightly different selection, and the Battle of the Bulge is obviously USA versus Germany. So because I don't own any of these tanks, I can't play the Battle of the Bulge scenario. Now, something to note, just because you have the tank, it won't use your personal configuration of that tank. It has a predefined configuration that has to be used in that battle. So you can see if we click the IS here, it's telling me I need to buy ammunition. If we hover over the little information point, you can see it forces you to take 21 AP, 2 of the what used to be gold rounds, which you can now buy with credits. That's good, but that's been there for a while. And 5 of the HE. You don't get a choice in that, and as it says at the bottom, you'll be compensated for anything that you don't use. So you'll get that money back if you don't use it. The same goes with equipment. Just because you don't own the bit of the equipment, if it was there in the battle and that was the configuration they were using, your tank will be changed to that for the duration of that battle. So they've have a predefined map you have to use. And those are the two teams. So it's not any more special than that, really. It's a limited selection that's trying to recreate something historical. But it's not a massive addition. It uses existing maps. Other than that, we've had a few sound changes. I'm going to cut to some of the in-game footage that I've previously recorded so you can hear the new engine sounds. Whether they are better or not, well, that depends on personal preference. As with anything to do with sound, some people would prefer it, some people won't, some people probably won't even notice the difference. The one bit that really does annoy me now, though, is they seem to have added, or at least changed, the death sound. When a tank dies, you now get this huge great big thunderclap, which can be heard way across the map. It's like a lightning storm going off in the background. We'll have some little footage run now where I'd sort of edit together a few dying tanks for you to hear it for yourself.
We're dead for it. Everyone get out. Bail out. This vehicle is had it.
Now, to me, that seems a little excessive. Sure, if the ammo rack got hit and, you know, the tank actually blew up, that kind of sound, you know, it kind of makes sense. But every single time a tank dies, you hear that from way across the map. It just really annoys me. I can't put my finger on it. It's just like I'm busy concentrating on my own thing, and then suddenly thunderstorm noises going off in the background until my team and half the enemy team beat each other senseless. I don't know. It's a minor thing, but it annoys me. I'm sure a lot of people won't even remotely be bothered. So we're just going to run some footage in the background now, some standard gameplay, while I go over the rest of the changes in this list. So there's been a whole load of tweaks to tanks, mostly to do with the sort of the rate of fire and the traverse angles. It's minor changes, it's not a huge amount of difference, just sort of balance tweaks. The big changes to balance, however, have come on some of the maps. Now, they've basically done away with what used to be big hill camping spots. Especially on one of the snowy maps I can't remember the name of, Severogorsk. It used to have these sort of big open hilltops that tank destroyers especially would like sitting on and sniping across the map at. They've now just been completely raised into impassable terrain, so you don't get that quite so much. I guess it's just balance tweaks to make it sort of equal coming from either side of the map. It's quality of life changes. It's not a huge, impact on the game, and that seems to be what this patch in whole is to me. It's a quality of life patch. Things look a bit shinier, sound a bit nicer, maps and stuff are a bit more balanced. If you didn't like World of Tanks before you came to this, you're not going to like it now. If you've never played World of Tanks, then this of course just makes it look better for you, and it's free to play, so you may as well give it a go. If you want to give it a try, there's a link down in the description that will take you to the sign up page, although you will want to make sure you get the right region. There is a European and a US region, so make sure you click on the right one for that. But it brings nothing really new to the table. It hasn't fundamentally changed the way anything plays. Tank destroyers will still sit in the bush half the map away and snipe you when you can't see them. Artillery will either be the bane of your existence, except for when you're playing it yourself and you can't hit anything. It's only really effective when it's hitting you. That's all other times you don't even notice it. And the rest of the game just comes down to who generally has the better team that comes out of the matchmaking, which is a thing that still really bugs me. The matchmaking, it doesn't seem to take into account the items that you've unlocked on the tank. So you've got a brand new, we'll take this IS for example, tier 7 IS. If we have a look, the default gun is an 85mm with 120 penetration and 160 damage. Now it will quite happily pair you up against an IS that's fully upgraded, which has 175 penetration and 390 damage. Sure, the rate of fire is less, but this one on the left, the default gun, won't even penetrate things. You're doing 0 the huge proportion of the time. But your counterpart on the other team is quite happily rolling around slaughtering things with his massive gun, doing, what's that, over double your damage. It just seems to need to be a bit more intrinsic in its balance, looking at the actual modules on the tanks and their lethality versus what it's putting you up against. It was especially apparent to me when I got this IS, because the gun you start with is the 85mm. This 122 here you already own because you had it from the previous tank, but you can't use it until you unlock the new turret, which is 26,000 12,000 experience. And 12,000 experience doesn't generally grow on trees unless you've pre-planned in advance and brought it across from other tanks. That takes a while to get. So you're basically just face rolling against things you can't hurt in a tank that should be better but is actually worse than the one you've just come from. That just as a concept boggles my mind and is kind of grind for grind's sake. So there's still niggles in this game that put me off playing it for any real length of time, and matchmaking is probably the main one. And I think if they don't work on it, they're losing a lot of potential players. I'm sure plenty of people are continually happily playing with it. I mean, I'm still playing it on and off. But I think they would get a lot more customers, which is effectively what you are. If you enjoy it, you're going to put money into it. If you're not, you'll just sort of tag it along as a free-to-play. I think they'll get a lot more customers and therefore a lot more revenue from their gold purchases if they balance the matchmaking a bit more to make every game enjoyable, rather than you getting 1 in every 5 games where you're the top tank and you steamroll and have a field day, whereas the other 4 you're the bottom tank and you're just getting crushed. But there you go, that's my thoughts on World of Tanks, and hopefully some of you will take it up, see for yourself. Don't take my word for it, go try it out for yourself. It's free to play, so you've got nothing to lose, and hopefully some of you will enjoy it. So, thanks for listening. Bye for now.